Salut les candidats. Hi candidates. Now today we are going to be taking the lesson 2 or the leçon 2, which is the second lesson, the lesson 2 of the French Introductory FTC online course. And this second lesson is going to be based on the formula you need to learn French for TEF Canada. Now moving on, we are going to be talking about these following things. Which of these components of formula do you use to learn? Look at them very well. In this lesson, we would treat 1. The learning track of language learners. 2. The learning formula. We would also talk about the breakdown of the formula, the reasons why people don't use the formula. We are going to talk about some interesting facts about the TEF, which is the 40 word groups in TEF Canada tests, a kind of tip for you before you actually start learning. Also, the 16 verb tenses used in TEF questions. This is also a kind of tip for you to help you prepare for the TEF Canada test. And also 20 most common conversations in TEF. Now, the last thing we are going to talk about is the number 1 thing to start with when learning French and preparing for TEF. So please, you would want to miss this. Try as much as possible to finish this video in order to learn all these listed topics. Now, moving on, we have the learning track of language learners. Now, as you can see in the graph, you would see that the French for TEF Canada users level are divided into 2. We have the poor levels and we have the good levels. The poor level starts from A1, which is the discovery stage. Here you are just discovering the language called French. You are just a basic beginner. I use those 2 words together. The basic, in fact, is the 3 words I meant to use. Basic, 0 level beginner. Why? Because you are just discovering the language. But afterwards, when you get to the A2 level, here you are now the basic user. You have started using the language to a barest minimum. Now we have the next level is the B1, which is the B1. That is the intermediate user. Here you are, how I would call the advanced beginner, or what I would say maybe the intermediate, but the close intermediate is not yet, you are not yet a fully fledged intermediate user. Do you understand? It is when you get to the B2 level, you become an independent user. Yeah, I can now call you the intermediate user. Now, after that, the C1 is the advanced user. And the C2 is the expert user. You're now an expert in the French language. Now we have the A1, the A2, the B1, the B2. The C1 and the C2 is quite ranked the same because they have much more the same, you understand, characteristics. But by the left or the right hand side, you will see that the A1, what they say there is that you can speak about yourself and about your immediate environment. Not bad for a beginner. The A2, you can speak basic French and exchange informations. The B1, you can understand and maintain conversation and give your opinion, which is quite okay, but not for the TEF Canada test. For the B2, you have a degree of fluency, and that's where we want you to get to, and spontaneity in regular interactions. The C1, you can express yourself fluently and spontaneously. We want that for you. The C2, you can also speak with precision, appropriateness, and fluency. That is the pinnacle of where you have to get to. So any of the levels you have, the B2, the C1, the C2, it's actually perfect for you. Now, moving on, let's talk about the learning track of AOS himself and the students. Let's talk about me and one of the few students I am actually using in this lesson. Now, the very first thing is my own French experience. I have been learning French for over 8 years, and you would see that in the year 2012, I was really a beginner just like you. I knew barely anything about the French language. And then I was in the University of Ilorin, the 100 level days. But in 2013, I moved on into the A2 level. There, I had started learning French. I had been in the Unilorin 200 level. But after that, I went to the Nigerian French language village, Ajara Badagry, Lagos State, Nigeria, to learn more. I didn't just stop at the A1 level. Now I came back after serving or perhaps learning for 3 months in that village. I came back, but after my holiday, in the university, the 300 and the 400, 2014, 2015, I was going to the Benin Republic to actually advance my learning. Now, when I got to when it was 2016, 2017, 2018, I went to Alliance Francaise. I remember Alliance Francaise. I went there just for about 5 weeks before I wrote my TEF Canada tests. And I was at my own institute, AOS Academy Limited, where I was already teaching the French language. Now, in 2019, 2020, I got into the C2 level. And then I was fully into AOS Academy Limited. Now, my students, Maimuna, our own experience was quite epic. She did her own less than a year. She got into those levels less than a year. Why was my own quite late? The reason is simple. Is because I wasn't studying French at the very beginning. It was much more as fun or like fun to me than serious learning. And I would say again that I didn't really have a course to up until I started taking examinations. You understand? International examinations that I knew I need to take it serious. But I've been teaching in secondary schools. I have also been opportune to do my national youth service as a French teacher. So I've had some experience in teaching the language. But Maimuna was quite different. She started with us November, and she actually learned French as an A1 student November, December 2019. That she took the beginner course. Then she stayed in the beginner course January and February. She was in the A2 level, and if I could remember, February 2020, we wrote our first examination, the examination for the beginner program, which she took. Now, the March and the April, she took our AOS FTC intermediate classes. And likewise, in May and June 2020, she also took FTC intermediate classes. But when she got to the B2 level in July and August, in May and June, she was already speaking, understanding French, listening to French news, understanding French musics and films. In the C1 level, July and August, she was prepared already for the FTC course, for the TEF Canada test. She was prepared already. September, October, she just prepared well to write the examination. And in October, early October, she's scheduled to write the tests. And I have no doubt that she is going to pass it excellently well. Why? Because she has done a lot of mock exams before then, which we do for our students to prepare them to be assertive that they can actually stand the test and excel in them. Now, what we actually have in this lesson is the learning formula: the input, the process, and the output. Now, the input that you take or that you use to learn a language is where you are at the zero level. You know nothing of the language, but you have a goal. You have something that you want to achieve, either within 3 months, either within 6 months, either more than that or less than that. And you have a motivation, a drive. The drive is you want to migrate, for instance, to Canada, and you are really serious about it. The process you need in order to go from your input to the output is the strategy you need to put in place to learn the language, which we'll talk about. Also, The frequency, how often you learn the language, the times you actually put in, the hours you put in to learn the language. Also, the input of the native speakers, either native speakers that are indigenous, people that are living in their home country, French countries or Francophone countries, or people that are speakers, you understand, of the language that learned it as a second language. And we have other extracurricular activities. These are other things you do to learn the language. Now, using the process and the input, you get the output. And that output is where you have the communicative competence in French that allows you to take and excel in TEF Canada tests. Now let us break down the formula. ZL is the level of French language you start from, or you start learning language from. The goal is the plan you need to pass TEF Canada. The M is the motivation you have. The more you can use your burning desire to learn and prepare for TEF Canada. The S is the exact methods you are using to learn French. The F is how well you are learning daily. The NS is, are you mingling with lots of speakers, not even where you live, but also on social media platforms? The EC is, do you engage in sports, martial arts, entertainment, law, rights, etc. to learn? And the communicative competence is the level you attain or you have attained in the French language. Now, top reasons why people do not use this formula is because they don't even firstly know the formula, the lack of knowledge of the formula. Two, they search for lots of shortcuts and easy way to learn, which is not actually a bad thing, but it's just that the shortcuts they are making use of are not the right ones to look for. They are the bad shortcuts. They are good shortcuts, and you will be learning that in the online course. Now, the procrastination and laziness attitude of students, procrastinating about learning language or being lazy about even putting the time, the effort, and the energy to learning the French language. Now, too much dependence on school teachings. You are so much depending on what the school is giving you that you don't take your own extra studies while you are at home or you are in your office. Lack of a strong will or burning desire. You just don't have that zeal to learn the language, that burning desire to learn it. Now, also lack of a competent coach or guide. You don't have someone that has actually passed through the process, has learned the French language and taken the test and excelled in the test that you can actually emulate. Trying to figure everything on your own. Don't always try to figure everything on your own. There's always someone that has done it, that has made a lot of mistakes. I spent over 8 years in learning to this level. You don't need to spend as much as that. You just need to leverage on the knowledge and the experience I have gotten and do the same thing I did in 8 years. You do it less than the years, in 3 to 6 months or less than that time. And we have a lot of testimonies that have actually done that. Now, too much focus on crude ways or methods used to learn French and prepare for TEF. A lot of people are still waiting to get a degree. Even with your university degree as a French, I've seen French graduates from Nigerian universities that have not yet learned the French competently. They have not learned it fluently. Yes, this is based on my own experiences. Some don't even, apart from bonjour, salut, you understand, bienvenue, all those things, apart from that, they don't know anything in French. And it's not that I'm trying to despise them. A lot of them that I've met too are very intelligent, very brilliant, very smart. They are wise, they are knowledgeable in the French, but all others have just collected certificates that they cannot defend. Now, let's move on to some tips that I want you to know before we go into the mainstream FTC course. The first one is the 40 word groups in TEF Canada test. You need to note that there are some groups of words that you just need to know. Like, for instance, animals. Know about 40 animals or 50 animals that are in the animal kingdom in French language with their French words. And you would see that the TEF Canada test is simple for you to pass. Clothings. which kind of clothing do people wear, the socks, the ties, the shirts, the things like that. Please note them, please. These are tips that I'm giving you. These are tips that you would also learn fully well in the FTC online course, either for the beginner, intermediate, or advanced courses. Now, office or work, which kind of vocabularies can you use in the workplace? Like photocopier, like printer, like scanner, like biros, like pencils, like, you understand? All those vocabularies, you need to actually learn them. Professions that is not only related to maybe teaching, you need to know about them too. Cinema, what or how do people actually go to watch films? What are the vocabularies they make use of, the words they make use of? Learn them. Aeroplane, the thing that deals with the transportation. Bar, the drinks where people go to drink, things like that. Learn about them. Boat, what exactly do you need to know about when it comes to the what they call it, the marine transport? Road, what exactly do you need to know? The car, the vehicle, the lorry, things like that, words like that, you need to learn them. Sports, games, cars, trading, train station, supermarket, cafeteria, park, concerts, hobbies. You need to learn all those. Now, furthermore, we have health, we have travel or holiday, politics, agriculture, economy, education, telephone, radio, money or currency, interview, weather report, culture, environment, tourism, science, foreign affairs, television, family, friendship, building sites. These are all word groups that you could use to find out, because that's the idea behind giving you word groups. Find out words that are under these classes, these classifications, these groups, and learn them by heart. It will really help you a great deal while you are taking the TEF Canada test. Now we have 16 verb tenses used in TEF questions. We know that the conjugation in the French language is one of the most challenging things for students, and that is why we have painstakingly given you most common French verbs that you can see in the TEF Canada questions, which you really need to learn. We have about 20 different verbs in French language, but they make use of about just 12 mainly in the TEF Canada, and few others, you understand, few others that they do not make use quite often. For the first ones, we have présent de l'indicatif, which means the present indicative tense. We have passé composé, which is the past perfect tense. We have the impératif, which is the imperative tense or the command tense. We have futur simple, which is the simple future tense. We have gérondif, which is the gerundive. We have subjunctive présent, this is the present subjunctive tense. We have the futur proche, which is the nearest future or the near future. We have conditionnel passé, which is the past conditional tense. We have imparfait, which is the past imperfect tense. We have the conditionnel présent, which is the present conditional tense. We have futur antérieur, which is the anterior future tense. We have passé simple, which is the simple past tense. We have the historic past tense. We have participe passé, which is the past participle. We have infinitive, which is the infinitive of a verb. Subjunctive passé, which is the past subjunctive tense, and we have passé récent, which is the recent past tense. So know all those verbs and learn how to conjugate them. Now we have the 20 most common documents or conversations in the TEF Canada test. For instance, you would see that in the listening skill, in the speaking skill, you would always find out these things. They would always come out in the exams, in the tests. Like for instance, carte de visite. They can actually draw or they can snap or scan the what they call it, the visitor's card, and show you and tell you to talk about that graphic in the TEF Canada test. Or you can be given carton d'invitation, which is the invitation card, and they will tell you to decipher the information that is inside an invitation card. If you have been practicing with it before the test, you would have no problem with it. Avis de recherche, research advice. They could give you something relating to that. Note professionnelle. They can give you professional notes or a kind of memo to decipher. That would give you no problem. Annonce publicitaire, public announcement. They can give something similar to that. Courriel amical, friendship or friendly emails. Friendly emails can be given to you in the exam. Lettre administrative, administrative letters can be given to you. Remerciement, which is appreciation, can also be given. Protestation, protests can also be given. Demande de service, service requests can also be given to you. Notice, notice, pancarte, which is placard, can also be given to you in the exam. Panneau, which is signboard, can be given to you, like the writings. It's not signboard as signboard, but the writings on the signboard is what we are trying to say now, can be given to you to decipher, to tell maybe where you can find them, how the kind of person that wrote it, where you understand the reasons why they wrote it, the things they are trying to communicate, or things like that can be asked in the examination. Petite annonce, little announcements can also be asked. Carte postale, postal card can also be given. Faire part, also announcements can also be given, but another form of announcement. We have the difference between faire part, we have annonce, we have petite annonce. Those things are quite different in French. They are not quite the same. When we go into the French for TEF Canada online course deeply, we'll explain the difference between them. Fiche téléphonique, telephone document or telephone form can also be given. For instance, if you are a customer calling maybe an hotel to lodge a reservation or to get a reservation, they use fiche téléphonique to actually write down your reservation. So things like that can be given to you to decipher. Témoignage, témoignage means witness. Witness can also be given to you. Extrait d'article, this one is used most times when you are writing. You understand? Most times it's always used, or maybe when you are reading in the TEF Canada test. Here it is extract. Extract of articles is what they mean, whereby they may give you just the first stanza of the article and they will tell you to complete the article based on the idea you see that they are trying to portray in the article. Things like that can be given to you. Conseil. Conseil means advice. Conseil means advice. They could give you things that like that they will tell you to decipher. So you have to learn about them. Now, the number one thing to start with is that following our formula, at your stage, you need to have a SMART goal. And for some of you, you know what SMART goals mean. SMART being highlighted, you know that it needs to be specific, it needs to be measurable, it needs to be attainable, it needs to be relevant, and it needs to be what? Time bound. However, do you know what that means in relation to French learning and TEF preparation? Do you really know what that means? Well, we have a fail-proof plan for you. A fail-proof plan that it has been explained in details in my signature French for TEF Canada online courses and one-on-one coaching session. When you get to the advanced courses, you would see that we have painstakingly given you a fail-proof plan. You can also have your own contingency plans, but this would help you, you understand, based on the times that you have actually calculated that you really need to learn the French language. And we'll be talking about that, or we'll be giving you that once you enroll for any of the advanced courses. Now, what is next for you to do? The next lesson is the next lesson is the lesson 3. That is the psychological obstacles keeping you from learning French language. But please, before you go, like and share this video on your Instagram, your email, your Facebook, Google, Pinterest, Reddit, Tumblr, Twitter, and even WhatsApp. Please use the buttons below this video to share it. Sharing is caring. Try as much as possible to communicate the beauty, the eloquence, and the information we have given you in this video. Go to the comments and also answer the following questions. I want to get feedbacks from you, please. Which level are you currently in the French learning now? Which of the formula units do you know and even make use of at the moment? Mention the word groups, the verb tenses, or document types that you know of. Please mention them, and I would really love to hear from you. Thank you very much, and I do hope to see you in the next video.